Sure what day? Well, obviously I know the day it's a Sunday, but I've never really nailed down the reasoning for the timing of Easter. Um, I know it has to do with a certain number of days or weeks after a certain particular event, but how they figure out what day that certain particular event is on is beyond me. Which is why Easter kind of float. Easter's the only floating holiday that we have. You realize that? Easter is the only floating holiday. By the way, for you people out there who are fans of Star Wars, it is sad for me to report, if you have not already heard, and this is we're into March, and we continue to hear and read about stuff like this. Folks, last night on Netflix, I watched the reboot, that the big Hollywood production of the first book in the how many, I don't know how many books there were in the Left Behind series. Left Behind with Nicolas Cage. Was that Lady Gaga playing one of the first class passengers on the airplane? And I got to tell you, they took the entire book and the entire first movie, and they turned it into an airport disaster movie. Now, some of us are old enough to remember or have seen repeats on television of all the airport disaster movies. You know, there was Airport, and there was Airport 75 or 77 or something like that, and Airport 79. Basically, they were big budget disaster movies of the day, but involving aircraft. You know, big jumbo jets of the day, and I think Airport 79 was actually used the Air France Concorde jet was involved in the accident. But this time it was all about what was happening on the plane. That was it. It was an airport disaster movie. That's not the whole book, by the way. That's only a small part of the Left Behind book number 1. It wasn't all about the plane. I was a little disappointed in that. And I got to tell you, I was kind of impressed with Nicolas Cage, because for most of the movie he was not over the, Nicolas Cage is kind of like a younger generation, or a younger version of Captain Kirk. William Shatner. He tends to overact, and it seems like the older that he gets, the more he overacts when he's in movies. But I got to say, the good point about Left Behind is Nicolas Cage, for most of his scenes, did not overact. Now, I don't know why. I don't know why he took a more lower key style approach to this particular movie, but in and of itself, it was a decent movie with a decent plot line and storyline, based on the Left Behind book series. Now I have seen the Kirk Cameron versions. There are 3 of them. I've seen them. Yeah, they're lower budget. Obviously, you can tell by the quality of the movie, they're lower budget, but they tried to keep more true to the well, at least I read the first book. I haven't read the others. That's why I don't know how many there are in the series total. Well, I read the first book. It was kind of engaging, a different take on the beginning of the apocalypse, if you will. But it was more than just the happenings on that aircraft. Trust me. And it was a little bit. I'm not an airline pilot, but I have heard from some airline pilots that have said that this is some of the procedures that they used was a little bit off. He waited too long to avoid a collision, for one, and too often he was too easily able to get into. Now, I understand these books were written before 9/11. Some of these books were written before 9/11, 2001. So they had to update this stuff to modern times because there were no, electronic locks on the cockpit doors. But when the first book was first written, but they had to modernize. I know they had to take some dramatic and license and that kind of stuff to it. But any case, if you follow Star Wars, I've got some sad news for you. And again, this continues with this tremendous pace. Hollywood is going to get emptied out. If we keep at this pace, we can see some 300 plus famous people, celebrities, former celebrities, on the death list before this year is over. I know Howie Carr here in the Boston area. He's got this death pool. Now, I don't listen to Howie Carr all that often, but I got to start listening to it more often just to see how many people are winning the death pool, because it seems like every day there's an announcement of a new celebrity death. A new famous person has died. And in this particular case, at the age of 68, British creator of the famous Star Wars droids has passed away, was found dead in his home. So you Star Wars fans are probably going to be mourning at this time because you've lost the creator of R2-D2 and C-3PO and all those wonderful droids of Star Wars. Our thoughts and prayers go out to his family, obviously, but because it is sad. But he just adds to the list of celebrities that are dropping like flies this year so far. I'm just kind of, that's why I bring up the Left Behind, because it seems like these people are leaving for a reason. They're getting out of the way. Let's take our first call. 215, you're live on the Rod Eccles Show. Go.
Hello.
Good morning. How are you?
Hello? Yes, good morning. How are you?
Good.
I was watching the debate last night, and I'm still watching Fox Live this morning. And, I am outraged at these people. They have insulted Americans for so many years now. And all they are showing to us is that they are all criminals. All of the GOP who was not backing Donald Trump are just showing us that they have so much to hide here. I have never been so embarrassed of my government in my life, and I am the silent majority. I haven't voted for many years, darling, but Donald Trump gave me back my hope. And this whole, all of these debates are just, they are degrading, they are insulting. You have Rubio up there who acts like a cornerboard thug. I've never seen American people vote for these kind of people in my life.
Well, they voted for the Clintons. I guess a lot of people.
Yeah, well, that's another disgusting thing. I mean, I wouldn't vote for that either. And they're still voting for them. What is wrong with these people in America? When did Common Core start? I'm sorry, I don't mean to make fun of it, but when did it start? Why are these people this blind to what is happening in America?
It is the educational system, and I got something here to go along with that a little bit later about the educational system, because it's really kind of frightening. But it's really, we are a celebritized, if that's a word. If it's not, I just invented it. It's a celebritized type of society now. Everything is about celebrity. Look, we've turned the presidency into nothing more than a Hollywood-esque celebrity battle. This started with Barack Obama. Barack Obama is a rock star. I mean, that's what they were saying. He's a new rock star. Everybody he's a new world celebrity when he was first elected, and he first started going on his travels overseas.
And he terrified me. He terrified me.
Terrifies a lot of people. But he's got this rock star persona. So it doesn't matter what he actually believes or does. Because, we can see our movie and TV stars get in all kinds of trouble But everybody still just runs out and buys their movies and watches their TV programs because, they're a star. And they don't care we don't care what they do in their personal life, is what we're told. So when it comes to politics now, politics has also been transformed into this celebrity type of event. So now this is why we have these debates that aren't getting to the issues. I mean, Donald Trump is up there having to defend the size of his hands. I mean, let's face it, he's a guy, and we know and we all know exactly what. That is the very
most immature thing I've ever heard in my life in a presidential.
We know exactly what Rubio was referring to when he was referring to the size of Trump's hands. Now, obviously, Trump being a man. And to a lot of people, Trump is a man's man. Of course he's going to defend his manhood. But this is not the place for it. It should not be allowed on a debate stage. We should be concentrating on the topics at hand that are serious, that are affecting this country. But you have people like Megyn Kelly and Fox News producers who let this stuff happen over. And it's not just Fox. I mean, all the other networks that have hosted the debates, too, have pretty much gone down the same road. It's all about sensationalism. It's all about the celebrity.
I see Trump trying to stop it, but they just keep poking at it and poking it and poking it. Well, they don't let him talk about the real issues. Ever. They always shut him down whenever he tries to talk about all the real issues. And the real issues is that America is in distress. I mean, personally, when you vote for a candidate, you are voting for that person to be in your home with your family. What kind of people are out there that are considering voting for Marco Rubio, Cruz, or Hillary that are criminals to be in their home, around their children, and around their family? You don't open up your front door to them. So why would you elect them to be in your home?
Of course they do. This is a nation that keeps the Kardashians in the top 10 TV programs every frickin' week. Of course they want to invite these people into their homes. I mean, you're breaking up there. But, I mean, this is what I'm talking about. We're a nation that likes sensationalism now. We seem to have been, maybe it was education-wise, but we seem to have been degraded down into only paying attention to if it's not sensational, we don't know. We don't want to know about it. I mean, we got something. I got something in the news feed today. Bruce Caitlyn Jenner wants to be Ted Cruz's transvestite ambassador during the rest of his campaign. I mean, do you honestly think that Ted Cruz is going to have Bruce Jenner anywhere close to his campaign? He's an evangelical Christian. That's not going to happen. But what makes the news is that Bruce comes out and says, "Hey, I'd work for Ted." Why? Why is that news? Unless they're going to try to if they're going to try to paint Ted as some sort of anti-homosexual type of person, a homophobe because he won't let Bruce Jenner be his tranny, representative or what have you. He's not going to do it. You don't even have to ask. So you have to bring it up. Evangelicals are not going to allow that. So why is that even making the news? Why is he even? Because he wants to stay in the news. And it's sensational enough to make that kind of headline.
Libtard bullshit. Excuse my language, but that's just libtard bullshit. Even putting that stuff up. My point is that I am voting now because I am voting for my young. I do not want to grow old and have my kids come to me and say, "What was freedom like in America? And why didn't you fight for my freedom?" I don't want that. Our government is being overthrown, whether people like it or not. We are being overthrown. They are putting, and I'm not saying all Muslims are bad, but they are putting Islamic extremists in government positions. That is overthrowing our government. And our society is that goddamn blind that our children are not going to have freedom anymore in America. They don't look at Germany. They don't look at Sweden. They don't look at what the hell is happening here. This country is in that much of distress, and the only person who is pointing that out is Donald Trump, and God bless his heart, because I love him, because he is fighting to save my children. Our country has not had a father for many years. Obama, my first sight of him, I was crawling because I seen the evil in him, and he terrified me. And the rest of them do too. And all of these GOP candidates who are going against Donald Trump, I see them as just as evil as Obama. They are letting refugees in. They are letting Muslims in. They are letting illegals stay here who have killed American citizens. They do not care about American citizens at all, and they have too much to hide. And I'm telling you, even people who don't have social media all see this on the news. So Fox and everybody else can keep blowing all the smoke, but everybody sees what is happening. And we are not ever going to leave Donald Trump. This is the biggest revolution I have seen in a lifetime of people supporting Donald Trump. And I'm in Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania is turning red now for Donald Trump. We have all had enough of all of this, all of it. So God bless you for answering my call, and God bless Donald Trump, and I am behind him 100%.
All right. Well, I do thank you for your call, and hey, I'll give you one. Go Donald. Get a businessman in there. I wouldn't be sad about that at all if it actually was Donald for 4 years. I wouldn't be sad about it.
Not at all. I am so looking forward to be able to sleep again at night, because I do not sleep anymore, because I fear every day for my kids, for my young. There is too much going on in America. Unconstitutional acts being done by every single one of them. And they are all fighting to save their own ass, and that is why they are coming down on Donald Trump. Because Donald Trump did not do any of this. He didn't allow any of this. He is the only candidate who did not allow any of this into America, the only one. Everybody else allowed this into America, and Donald Trump is the only one who didn't allow this into America. So they are afraid of him because they have all committed unconstitutional acts. And the only GOP who is honest will stand behind Donald Trump. The rest of them are all just showing us just how illegal and how much trouble they are in. And that's,
right. Well,
that's just what we all say.
I hope that you're able to sleep at least this weekend. Have a wonderful weekend. I do thank you for your call and your insight.
Thank you.
Have a great weekend. Bye-bye. Well, folks, it is one of those things that people do think about. Believe it or not, people do tend to think about the future of their children and their grandchildren. And those are selfless kind of people, because of course at the same time, they want to be able to be able to do things now, obviously, with those that they care about, but they also really care about things in the future. And are your kids going to, what a lot of people worry about is the younger generation going to be able to enjoy life the same way that you enjoyed it at their age? And will the kids of tomorrow be able to enjoy it as much as or as well as you did? And a lot of people are answering that question too. The way we're going right now, the answer to that is no. And let me tell you, that is scaring a lot of people to death, at least those who are not being blindsided and blinded and overrun by a bunch of Kardashians. Man, when are they going to go off the air? Seriously. You're listening to me, your lovable host, L. Rod, here on the Rod Eccles Show.
Your credit score is a joke, and you're too embarrassed to let anyone know your 3-digit score. Sucks to be you, but it doesn't have to. Delete all those unsightly derogatory items, collections, charge-offs, repossessions, judgments, tax liens, bankruptcies, and foreclosures. To turbo boost your credit scores, call 888-541-5571 or visit us at 700creditnow.com. You've heard the old adage, cash is king. But in some cases, credit can be just as powerful as cash. Not many people have $200,000 to put down on a house, or $50,000 to put down on a car, or $25,000 to put down in a business. But look around and you'll find that millions of Americans do have homes and cars, all purchased with little to no money down. To turbo boost your credit scores, call 888-541-5571. Again, that's 888-541-5571. Or visit us at www.700creditnow.com.
When our water heater broke down last month, it was a nightmare. It took 5 hours for the plumber to show up, and he charged us a couple of $100 just to come out. Then it cost another $1,800 to put in the new water heater. By the time it was all said and done, I felt like I'd been taken. But what else could I do?
The smartest thing you can do is get a home warranty from American Residential Warranty. Their home warranties pay to repair or replace all your major appliances when they break, and they will break, and at the worst possible time. Call American Residential Warranty right now for free information on home warranties starting at just pennies a day. Don't wait for your refrigerator to stop running or your ceiling fans to stop turning. Call American Residential Warranty right now. Ask how you can save up to 50% on washer and dryer coverage. Just call 1-800-616-8010. That's 1-800-616-8010. Again, 1-800-616-8010. Call now.
Did you ever look at the stains in your coffee cup and then realize that's exactly what happens to your teeth? Power Swabs is the 5-minute solution to get your teeth white without visiting the dentist. This is Ben Gordon with Power Swabs, and if your teeth are stained from coffee, tea, or smoking, all it takes is 5 minutes with Power Swabs. In 5 minutes, you'll see an average of 2 shades whiter teeth, and in 7 days, 6 shades. It's clinically proven to whiten natural teeth as well as caps and veneers. The secret is a tooth detergent that was developed by Dr. Martin Ginniger that lifts stains off of your teeth. Best of all, there's no messy strips or trays that you have to leave in your mouth for an hour. Just swab your teeth for 5 minutes and you're done. To try Power Swabs risk-free, call 1-800-291-5140. That's 1-800-291-5140. I guarantee your bright white smile will have your friends talking about how great you look. Try it risk-free today. 1-800-291-5140. That's 1-800-291-5140.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 800-595-2614 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 595-2614 to take your call now. Call 800-595-2614. That's 800-595-2614. Again, 800-595-2614.
When you're ready to take the edge off a hectic day, I suggest you start with a little music from Franz Black.
I guess there's lots of ways to look at things that don't seem right.
No Worries has just been released on iTunes and Amazon.
It's gonna be alright.
You can find Franz Black and his music on his website, franzblack.com. F-R-A-N-Z black.com.
It's gonna be alright.
Welcome back, everyone, to yours truly here on the Rod Eccles Show. I love that bumper. It is so smooth and cool. I like listening to it. Anyway, one of this weekend, what we've had is we've had if you want to look into celebrity, keep up on the celebrity stuff. Bobby Christina Brown's cause of death has been revealed. I don't know why it takes so long sometimes for these autopsies. When was she laid to rest? I mean, it's been months now, hasn't it? I don't I don't know why. I guess they just do it, to try to keep everybody in suspense. But Bobby Christina Brown died from a combination of drugs, alcohol, and drowning. So says the medical examiner. Well, pretty much, I guess. Isn't that what happened to her mom? And for those of you who do not know who Bobby Christina Brown's mother was, her mother was none other than the incomparable Whitney Houston. And it is now, it's amazing, but it's been a few years now since we've lost Whitney Houston and Michael Jackson. It's been a few years. It's unbelievable. It's been 6 years now for Michael, I think. 5 or 6 years. And it's time flies. But it's been 7 months since Bobby Christina's passing. I don't know why they take so long to release some of this stuff. It really, it's not private information, actually. It has to do with death certificate, cause of death. That's not private, which may be why they take so long sometimes, because it isn't going to be it's always going to be public knowledge, which is probably why they take so long to release this stuff. So it gives the family time to respond. In any case, there you go. If you were keeping track of what's been happening to the Houston Brown or Brown Houston family, and that's the latest. Bobby Christina has the cause of her death is due to drugs, alcohol, and water, basically, and drowning, potentially drowning. There is another. I know some people are gonna. I should have a laugh track here. But some people are going to actually laugh at this one. LOL, as it were, laugh out loud. PC, political correctness hysteria, claims another professor. I told you earlier this week, and even yesterday, that this was starting to happen, that the people that were teaching this PC crap, it was coming back to bite them in the you-know-what. I mean, it's really, you can say this is hilarious if it weren't so serious at the same time. And this is from the Daily Beast. A University of Kansas professor was turned in by her students after using the N-word in class to discuss her own white privilege. So she thinks that she can use the N-word to discuss her white. Wouldn't that be thinking that you have white privilege? I mean, is it white privilege to use the N-word, I guess? I don't know, in class? The arrogance and it turned idiocy is absolutely amazing among these people, among these liberals. It's just wild. But the movement to purge all offensive speech from American college campuses has claimed another scalp. Andrea Quinnett, Quenette, an assistant communications professor, was chased out of her own classroom, not because she was a bad teacher, but because her students said she wasn't agreeing with them quickly enough. So, isn't this kind of the same thing that the right lately has been trying to pull on Donald Trump? Donald Trump didn't disavow David Duke quick enough. What are you talking about? So a professor who's supposed to be out there trying to get you to think, to get you to question and defend your own answers or your own thought process, is now all of a sudden on the hot seat because she didn't agree quickly enough with the students. Well, the students are students. In other words, they're supposed to be there learning. They don't know jack. They're not there to get the professor to agree with them. They're there to learn what the professor has to teach them. And yet it's been turned completely around. She's been run out of a... You know what? Well, I know she's a woman. But that would not happen with me. This is why I can't be in front of these. That's why I can't teach high school. I could not teach college. Because I would be offending these little snot-nosed little minds full of mush brats all day long. Now, for months, Quinnett has been under investigation by the University of Kansas. She is on an academic leave now. Her students' refusal to return to class left her no other choice but to take the semester off. Well, I mean, look, if they don't go to class, you give them all an F. I mean, they can drop the class and take another class if they want. That's their prerogative. But if they don't drop the class and they don't show up, they get an F. What is now? We've got the insane running the college campus asylums now. Now, the Foundation for Individual Rights in Education, FIRE, F-I-R-E, which stood up for Quinnett's free speech rights back in November when she was first accused of racial discrimination, is sick of waiting for a KU, Kansas University, to clear her of wrongdoing. Now, the longer Quinnett has to wait for what should be a fundamental affirmation of her rights as a professor, the more deeply speech will be chilled at KU. Well, yeah, look, you don't have free speech rights on college campuses anymore because you're not allowed to attack or defame or in any way make these wonderful little children feel bad about anything. They're not allowed to feel, they don't want to have to feel bad or sad about it, because if you make them feel bad or sad, then they're not going to feel safe. They're not going to feel safe if you make them feel bad. Oh, whiny little, prissy little, I want to be nice, it is Friday. But let me admonish you parents for sending your kids to these institutes of higher learning. Why are you spending your hard-earned money doing this? Now, I know every single student in college under the age of 25 is not, their tuition is not being paid for by their parents, not even in part. I get that. But for those of you who are contributing financially to your child's education in a college or other institute of higher learning, and this is the kind of drivel that they're teaching them, why are you paying for your own destruction? Do you realize what you're doing? You're not giving them I know we've all been brainwashed into this whole notion that, your kid needs to go to college in order to have to get a good education in order to have a future. That's a bunch of BS. Let me tell you right now, who are the most unemployed people? Everybody likes to think, well, it's blue collar people or unskilled labor. No. They're not the largest unemployed class right now. The largest unemployed class comes from the millennial generation with college degrees. In other words, your kids are not really getting an education that is worthy of a business to hire them. So not only are you spending 60, 70, 5 and 6 figures for an education, but you're spending 5 and 6 figures for a worthless education, and your kid is still living in your basement. So why are you spending that money again? And I find it amazing that you've got parents that not only do it for child number 1, the eldest child, but they're doing it for child number 2. And then they'll say, well, we'll do it for child number 3. Why? When it has not worked for child 1 or 2. Why would you do it a third or fourth or fifth time? And believe it or not, there are a lot of people that have more than 2 kids. I know it's kind of crazy, but, there are lots of people who have more than 2 kids. But they're going to go out there and spend all that money, put their houses in hock, second and third mortgage, and borrow from their retirement accounts, and put their retirement in jeopardy, and work past the age of 60 or 65 so they can pay off this college debt. For what reason? So your little brat of a kid can go and sit in college and say, oh, I can't believe my ears. My professor's hurting my ears. He's making me feel so unsafe because he's making me feel uncomfortable. Please, stop it. Stop paying for this nonsense. Unless your kid wants to go into a true profession like engineering or medicine or the real sciences, then why are you paying for them? If they want to go get a business degree, make them learn about business by getting a job while they're in school. I mean, I have a business degree, business administration. What the hell? You know, I've taken business administration courses. What a bunch of BS. 90% of that crap that they're teaching you in business administration classes, you will not use in reality. Because it doesn't work and it doesn't exist in reality. Remember, college is nothing but a bunch of theory. A lot of college courses are based on nothing more than a bunch of theory and how some of these professors who invent some of this stuff, how they would like to see the world or think that the world should be. Well, that the world is not as they think it should be. It is not reality. And the reason is because many of those college professors, especially these full-time tenured ones at these big schools, they have never worked a day in their life outside of academia. They haven't worked for corporate America, yet they're teaching business. They've never owned their own business. As a matter of fact, sometimes when you have believe it or not, there are a lot of professors that do own businesses outside of their teaching profession at college campuses. But many of them who own a business aren't business teachers. A lot of them are in the sciences, like the music, the speaker, the music company, Bose. I think he's still alive and he's still working at MIT. But yeah, he started that company. But he's not in business. He's not a business teacher. While they've been teaching. That's another thing. You're also funding some of these people's time to research. Do you think Bose just did all that stuff at home, tinkered at home, and came up with this stuff? No, he didn't. I don't know if he has to pay any sort of royalty or specialty fees towards MIT from the sales of Bose, but I can guarantee you all of that stuff that he developed for his Bose speakers and Bose Wave sound machines and all that kind of stuff did not happen on his free time at home. Yeah, I'm just telling you, just saying. I mean, great for him. I'm glad that he did. Because he created a company that is now employing lots of people, which is anyway. I digress. I apologize for digressing. By the way, for those of you who can't wait to get rid of the Obamas, coming up this January 21st, 2017, you think you're going to you think January 20th is the last you're going to say goodbye? They're going to be gone. You're going to be crying tears of joy. Yeah, that's right. Many Americans will be crying tears of joy when they see the Obamas get on that aircraft for the last time. Oh, where's the sound of that record scratch? No, hold on. Evidently, we're not going to get to see the Obamas get on the aircraft for the last time. No, I know some of you conspiracy theorist nut jobs out there running around saying, see, we told you, Rod, they're not going to give it. No. According to USA Today, the Obamas will remain in D.C. after Barack's presidency so their youngest daughter can finish high school. So they're not going to be getting on Air Force One for the last time. Well, I don't know. Maybe Obama will take out Air Force One for a last-minute joyride. But evidently, we're not going to have that famous scene of seeing the departing president board Air Force One to destination known or unknown, where they will live out the rest of their days in political retirement. Well, one, I don't think Obama is going to. He's not even going to be 55. He'll be 54, 55, 56. Whatever. He won't even be. He'll still be in his mid-50s. So basically, he's still a young guy. And as long-lived as ex-modern presidents have been living of late, we still got George H.W. Bush with us. We still have Carter with us. Both of them are in their 90s. As long as these people seem to be able to stay around after they leave office, you could possibly say that Obama could be around for another 30 or 40 years. Yes, you heard what I just said. He's going to be like 55 or 56 when he leaves office. His wife tends to treat him, like a health nut experiment. He's not allowed to have certain things unless they get divorced or she dies early on or something. He's probably going to stay as skinny as he ever was. Which, by the way, scientific data has shown that people who are skinny, even those who tend to be slightly under ideal weight, live longer than people who pack on the pounds. So by this token, he's got one negative. Shorter people tend to outlive tall people. And that's just generally speaking, obviously. But the lifespan of people who are under the height of 5'9", under 5'9", tends to be slightly longer than people who have a height over 5'9". Again, so people like Michael J. Fox, other than his Parkinson's disease, could expect to live to be in their 80s. And people like Barack, who are obviously above 5'9", are expected to have a life expectancy somewhere in the low 70s. But we know that the former presidents tend to have a very long life expectancy, living well into their 80s and 90s. So that gives Barack another 30 or 40 years of life. Just saying. All those factors working in his favor. Ex-president, ultra skinny, even though he's a little slightly over tall, but he's still got all the other stuff working for him. And of course, his genes, his biological genes might help as well. What is his white part heritage of him? Aren't they Nordic, Scandinavian, or something? Which has a rather long, above average life expectancy on the planet. So hey, he could be around for another 30 or 40 years, and I don't think he's going to retire. I think he's going to be like a Bill Clinton and a Jimmy Carter. We're just not going to get rid of this guy. But in any case, he's not going to be getting on that jet and jetting off into the sunset like every other president who's gotten on a jet has done before him. Because they'll be staying in D.C., where, I don't know. But evidently, just so the youngest can finish high school at the prestigious private school that she's currently attending. Now, President Obama did cast some light on his post-presidency plans, according to USA Today, telling lunch companions in Milwaukee that he plans to remain in Washington so that his youngest daughter can finish high school. He says, we're going to have to stay a couple of years so Sasha can finish. Transferring someone in the middle of high school is tough. That's what he said. Beyond that, we haven't figured that one out yet. I mean, so they're going to stay in Washington. Just so, hey, wouldn't that be nice? Just so you can, just so your daughter can finish high school. Yeah, I sympathize. It is tough. But she's the president's daughter, and she's going to a private school, so it doesn't matter what private school she's going to. She's already going to be an elitist no matter where she goes. Just saying. Do you think other people's rich kids are going to be messing around with one of the world's most powerful people's daughter who's protected by guys with guns? I understand that. You know, some of the wealthiest people on the planet, some of their kids do have a personal bodyguard. But none of them have the dedicated staff and government approval and government backing that a former president's child has. And I got to say, you know, as badass as some of these personal bodyguards can be, I don't think most of them would be able to stand up against a team of Secret Service agents. Just saying. These guys are no joke. You know, sure, you may think that they have some rules that they have to play by, but when it comes to life and death and the protecting of important people, there are no rules. And you know, it's not, Secret Service is no joke. They're not cops, if you will, that you really want to mess with. I mean, like I said, these guys are no joke. They fully understand what their job and what their duty is, and they volunteer to do what they do. You understand? They volunteer. In fact, there is a waiting list to do the job that they do within the Secret Service. You want to talk about dedication? These guys are no joke. They're like the civilian version of Marines. Do I know any Secret Service? Actually, I do. Well, actually, I don't think he's part of the Secret Service anymore. He's probably retired because he's too old. He was on detail for Clinton's first term. That would be Bill Clinton. Yeah, I know people. Well, the more I think about it, and the longer I do the show, the more I realize I know people. I'm kind of impressing myself at the moment. Just saying. I know somebody out there is going to take me real seriously on some of this stuff, but I'm not really that much of a. Some people might think that I am extremely arrogant. I'm really not. I don't take myself seriously. Yeah, I realize that. You know, as time goes on, I realize I know people that have either been in or are currently in some important positions or roles, but I never take advantage of all that stuff. Maybe I should take more advantage of people I know. It just doesn't seem to be right to just, well, I guess if they're called friends, they'll be more than willing to do you a favor. But hey, so you better be nice to me because I know people in government, and they have guns.
Give a man a fish and you feed him for a day. Sign him up for the Box of Bait Club and he'll never be hungry again. The Box of Bait Club is a brand new dream come true for every fisherman. Something new and different in your tackle box every month. Every month, another excuse to get outside and do what you love. Don't let this one get away. The Box of Bait Club is currently accepting a limited number of pre-orders with subscriptions starting at $39.95 per month. Find out more now. Log on to boxofbaitclub.com.
I'm just so happy my father had a chance to see his kids before he passed. I just want to say thank you.
When her father fell ill, the American Red Cross was able to help get Veronica's brother home from the Navy to speak to his father one last time. It's thanks to your donations that we can connect military families when they need it most. Please donate today at redcross.org.
When our water heater broke down last month, it was a nightmare. It took 5 hours for the plumber to show up, and he charged us a couple of $100 just to come out. Then it cost another $1,800 to put in the new water heater. By the time it was all said and done, I felt like I'd been taken. But what else could I do?
The smartest thing you can do is get a home warranty from American Residential Warranty. Their home warranties pay to repair or replace all your major appliances when they break, and they will break, and at the worst possible time. Call American Residential Warranty right now for free information on home warranties starting at just pennies a day. Don't wait for your refrigerator to stop running or your ceiling fans to stop turning. Call American Residential Warranty right now. Ask how you can save up to 50% on washer and dryer coverage. Just call 1-800-616-8010. That's 1-800-616-8010. Again, 1-800-616-8010. Call now.
Attention business owners. We know that owning a business means getting things done right now. So if your right now list includes a new building, call the Right Now Company. General Steel. We can design a building for your business quickly and save you thousands of dollars. That's right, thousands. You may think General Steel only builds large projects or that you can't afford General Steel quality. Well, check these prices. How about a 40 by 60 foot building for under $22,000? Or even a 50 by 100 for under $35,000? That's right, a 5,000 square foot building for under $35,000. And these buildings all have General Steel quality. Best of all, you can still order a building and have it delivered in time to build this year. How's that for right now? So if your right now list includes a new building, call the Right Now Company, General Steel.
800-393-5756. 800-393-5756. 800-393-5756. That's 800-393-5756.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 800-595-2614 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 595-2614 to take your call now. Call 800-595-2614. That's 800-595-2614. Again, 800-595-2614.
Boy, man, I had a rough night's sleep. Boy, I got a letter from the IRS yesterday, and I just couldn't sleep. Man, I'm dying here. Somebody help me.
IRS problems affect more than just your finances. If you're ready to take back control of your life and you owe more than $10,000, you need to call the Tax Doctor. Their expert staff can immediately protect you from the IRS and state collectors and get you the best possible tax settlement guaranteed. The IRS has recently released new programs geared in helping struggling taxpayers, where you may qualify to settle your tax debt and wipe out up to 85% or more of what you currently owe. If you owe $10,000 or more in back taxes, call the Tax Doctor right now. See if you qualify to pay less. 800-989-1694. 800-989-1694. 800-989-1694. Again, 800-989-1694.
On the battlefield, there's a saying America's military men and women live by. Never leave a fallen warrior behind. Ever. Off the battlefield, Wounded Warrior Project operates with the same goal. We leave no warrior behind. Wounded Warrior Project is a non-profit organization created to help our men and women returning home with the scars of war. Whether those scars are physical or mental, we're here to make sure that they heal. And whether it's helping those with post-traumatic stress disorder live a normal life again, or giving much-needed support to injured warriors in veterans' hospitals. Because no one deserves our help more than the men and women who risk their lives to keep us safe. Wounded Warrior Project. We never leave a fallen warrior behind. Ever. Learn more about what we do at woundedwarriorproject.org.
Zinc Media. Feel the power of knowledge.
My fellow ecclesiastites and all you wonderful liberty lovers all across the globe, it is I, your lovable host, Rod, coming to you live once again from my bunkerized studio somewhere within the great granite state of New Hampshire, where the state motto is live free or die. It is not big government or bust. And no, it has not changed. It's still, live free or die. It is still not big government or bust. And it is Friday, March the 4th, in the year of our Lord 2016, which means it's Freedom Friday, which means that we take things a little, some of the lighter news items and fare that is available out there for you to know and understand and try to use to your advantage in helping you understand your world around you, both your neighborhood as well as your state and your nation and your entire world. And to help you celebrate and enjoy your freedom this coming weekend. What freedom you may have left. There is still a lot of it that we need to figure out as far as politics are concerned, and who's going to be the next president, and how are we going to vote in November elections. From a local level to a state level to a national level. Who's going to be the best? I know everybody's up in arms about who they think is absolute best. And, is it Trump? Is it Cruz? Is it Rubio? Is it, Kasich? Is it who's ever left in the race? And people understand. Well, they don't understand. What they don't understand is that everybody's got this personality thing. A lot of people are hooked on personality. And Trump has tied into that. Let's be honest. Trump has tied into the personality aspect because, he's the reality star of the whole thing, of the political show this time around. And everybody's just jumping on board because of Trump's strong personality. But that's not to say that the Trumpites are only about his personality. They're the only ones that are like that. Cruz people are like that too. They're just as adamant on Cruz's personality as Trump's people are on Trump's personality. I gotta say I haven't run into the same issue with Rubio people. As I have with Trump and Cruz people. Maybe because there aren't as maybe it's simply because there aren't as many Cruz people out there as there are Trump and Cruz people. The sheer numbers will speak for themselves. But obviously, because Cruz or Rubio has only won one primary state so far, Trump and Cruz have won all the others. So evidently, there are a lot more people supporting Trump and Cruz than Rubio. But the person I listen to people talk about, Trump is the only one who can do this, and Cruz is the only one who does that, and I listen to them talk like a lot of times, and what I don't hear is a lot of substance. I hear a lot of personality. If you want to call it a disorder, I hear a lot of personality disorder traits that they like. Nothing to do with their policy. Now, at the same time, look, I fully understand that Obama was all about personality. Everybody looked at Obama and thought he was some sort of rock star. But, that is what it is. And so now we're at where we are at. And I know for you people who are cruisers, Trumpsters and cruisers, but if you're a cruiser, you're probably going to love to hear this. I think it's kind of interesting. And the reason why I bring up the personality traits, because I've always asked people, who are agnostic or who are atheists or who are trying to be scientific. I would always ask them, okay, what if science proved to you that there is an intelligent being or an intelligent creator, or that there is a God? What if science proves it? Most of these people that I've asked that question to, who are agnostic or atheists based on scientific evidence, they say there's no possible way that science could ever prove it. I said, well, what if it does? Would you believe it? And not a single one of them has said to me, well, if science proves that there is a God, then I will believe in God. They haven't said it. And the reason is because they do not want to believe in God. They do not want to believe in an intelligent creator. They do not want, and for those of you who think of creation intelligence, believe it or not, it does not necessarily mean God. It means that when we're talking about this planet and human evolution, whether it be biological or divine evolution, we are talking about some sort of intelligent being, not necessarily a God, yes, an alien, if you will, that has directed the early beginnings of human evolution. It was done on purpose with a specific reason and design in mind. That is an intelligent creation theory, part of the intelligent creation theory. It doesn't have to be God, as we know God. It could have been another intelligent being of long ago. Look, this universe is massive. And even under the realm of God himself, there is nothing in the Bible that would ever dictate or say to us, those who believe in God, that we are the only inhabitable planet in God's universe. There's nothing like that. And there's nothing in the Bible. In fact, the Bible even hints at the fact that there were civilizations before this current one on this planet. In fact, there is a whole, if you want to call it a sect, there's a whole sect to the Judeo-Christian ethic, if you will, that's called the pre-Adamic theory, meaning that there was an entire civilization before the current Adam and Eve civilization, and God destroyed that civilization by water, which kind of gives us, a lot of people. Last weekend I watched a program about finding Atlantis. And they were using actual human documentation, written historical facts, to try to find the lost civilization of Atlantis. Now, they factored where Atlantis could have been in two logical locations. Now, the one thing that they didn't cover in this particular program, now, they believe that they found the capital city. Now, here's the deal. In this program, they looked for a place that matched the description that matched the description of some ancient historical documentations. Like Plato and those guys, they wrote about this stuff. They wrote about Atlantis. Now, they weren't alive at the time of Atlantis, but they wrote about historical places that referred to Atlantis. Now, here's the thing: they tried to focus on one particular city of Atlantis. But what they did not follow through, there was another location that I do believe it was Plato that wrote about in the Canary Islands that could have been Atlantis. But here's the problem that they saw in that at that time, the ancient world, they were going out past into the Atlantic, that far into the Atlantic where the Canary Islands was most unlikely not plausible for them because they would be too scared to go out there. Actually, that's not true. It's not true because, we have They have. You don't hear a lot. See, this is so interesting when you start to actually learn about stuff and pay attention to stuff that you're not taught in school. You know, they have found archaeological evidence that ties South America to Africa. They have done experiments that have proven that you could have taken, those. You remember the Kon-Tiki? Well, that was the Asian Pacific. Heading to Hawaii and possibly to South America. It could have made it. But on the other side, they have found evidence of Egyptian-style arks or boats or canoes in South America. Meaning, could the Egyptians or Egyptian predecessors have made it to South America? If that's the case, then that means that they would not have been afraid to venture out past the Straits of Gibraltar in ancient times. Well, I've also seen a lot of different programs, not just one, but on multiple, the Discovery Channel and the Learning Channel, a couple of the other so-called learning types of networks, about ancient civilizations. And that if you look at a certain pathway or a certain part of the world, all around the world, within the Tropic of Cancer and Tropic of Capricorn, within that narrow belt around the planet, that takes into consideration the Devil's Triangle off of Japan, and it takes care of the Bermuda Triangle off the coast of the United States. It's in that belt, and we see all kinds of across that belt, all kinds of what appears to be man-made objects lying in the bottom of the oceans. So this one particular program believes that they have found the location of what most likely was considered to be the city of Atlantis. However, there are other places, locations within that, and that happens to be within the tropic belt, by the way. There are other locations across this planet that also could fit the narrative of what was called Atlantis. So was Atlantis one city? Or was it a vast network or civilization? And what happened to that civilization? Well, the pre-Adamic theory people believe that civilization was destroyed by God by flood, by water, just like the story of Noah, but before Adam and Eve, and God started over, which is why God said that he would no longer destroy the planet by water. Meaning that if you know God by reading the Bible, meaning he would have had to have done it more than once, which means, according to the pre-Adamic theory, that there had to be a pre-civilization, which means that during that pre-civilization point in time, this is what they also say and use. Now, I'm not saying I agree or disagree, but it's very interesting to take this part of the theory, that there was the war in heaven when Satan was cast out, took place during that pre-Adamic civilization period, which caused the demise of God, of the civilization then, wanting God to start over because he cast out a third of the angels, sent them to hell, simply because of the interference that Lucifer, or Morning Star, had on the creation at the time. Remember, we're told that Morning Star felt that he could have been God himself. He became arrogant and felt that God was not giving him his due, and that he would be able to show that he could rule and run mankind, God's creation, just as well as God could. And that's how the whole heavenly war started. Of course, Satan was doomed to begin with because, it's all-powerful dad doesn't give you all-powerful power in order to take down all-powerful dad. He was doomed to lose. So we have all this interesting stuff that we'll probably never know the answer to within this lifetime in this realm. Maybe we'll figure out the secrets of the universe when we pass away and we die. That's when we'll probably get to know. But there is all this information out there that would suggest a lot of otherworldly intervention in mankind. This is why I always ask, those people who claim to be atheists or agnostic or scientific, if science could prove the existence of God, would you then believe? And I haven't had any of them tell me that it would cause them to believe. Well, lo and behold, here's a story out of independent.co.uk. Has got scientists all in an uproar. Why? Because plain as day, in a scientific paper, in a recent scientific paper, it says the human hand was designed by a quote-unquote creator. The paper's perceived references to intelligent design, however, have provoked anger and calls for a boycott from the Journal of Scientific Knowledge in which this paper was printed. Because the language of the paper references a creator which some scientists see as an endorsement of intelligent design, i.e. God. So the whole point is that if science begins to point to and begins to prove that there is an intelligent creator or there is a God, that these scientists do not want to believe it. Because it would change their whole notion of what the entire universe is and why it was put here. And they cannot have that because human relativism gives them the opportunity to do whatever they particularly want. See, if there is an intelligent designer, or if there is an intelligent creator, or if there is a God, that means that there are definite rules. And those rules mean that they are black and white, there's right and wrong, there is no gray area. And these people do not want that. And so this is why they are bristling with anger at the notion that somebody could try to prove scientifically that there is an intelligence out there that has a hand in human development, or a hand, if you will, in the evolutionary process of this planet. Can you imagine if a scientist says that I have proven unequivocally by science, using scientific methods, that God exists or the intelligent creator exists, the uproar it would create within the scientific and medical community? Can you imagine that? Of course there's going to be a backlash. There is going to be anger like you have never seen before coming out of the scientific world. And as far as scientists, who should be after the truth? They should be reading this and looking at this and dissecting this from a scientific standpoint. Well, how did they come to this conclusion? What scientific methods were they used? Can we duplicate their scientific methods? And can we actually see and come to the same conclusion that they did? That is not what these scientists are all about. They are reacting and saying, oh, hell no. You ain't going to go out there and prove there ain't no God out there. You ain't going to prove it. In fact, we so mad at you for even trying to prove the fact that there is a God that we're going to call for a boycott of the scientific magazine and papers that printed your report. Don't challenge the report by going out there and trying to recreate what they did. Go and call for a boycott instead because it pissed you off so much. Can you believe that? Well, I can, because I've asked people those particular types of questions, and the answers or lack thereof that I got backs up what is currently happening. Now, the paper titled Biomechanical Characteristics of a Hand Coordination in Grasping Activities of Daily Living. You kind of like that title, huh? Tells you everything you need to know, right? It was written by a team of 4 researchers, 3 from Huzhong University in China, Huazhong, and 1 from Worcester Polytech Institute in Massachusetts. When I first saw this, I'm like, wait, what? These researchers are in China? One of the biggest atheist governmental regimes on the planet? And they're coming out and saying, well, hey, these hands, this shows intelligent design. And then the liberal Worcester Polytechnic Institute is one of the writers of this. And please say this is not possible. Now, was this paper was published in the PLOS One, PLOS One journal, a fairly conventional study. Looked at the mechanics of how we grasp things and involved the measurement of the hands movement of 30 participants. So in other words, they didn't come up with some wild scientific theory. They actually studied the movement, the design of the hand, and compared it to the so-called knowledge of non-intelligent evolution. And they came to a scientific determination that there must have been some sort of intelligence guiding the design of the hand. Scientifically, this is how they came up with it. And you would think that in the scientific world that they disproved Einstein's theory of relativity. Because that's, there was a pair, a mathematics pair, I think they were out in the West Coast, that proposed that there was a hole in Einstein's theory of relativity. And these two men were forced into obscurity because you have scientists today who are no longer scientists. Now, remember, Einstein himself said that someday he may have, his theory may be proven to be wrong. That's why it is a theory. But today's science doesn't view, if you come up with a theory that's perceived to be accepted by the vast majority of the scientific community, it's no longer a theory. It's fact. Even though it has not been proven as fact, and it's still a theory, oh no, it's fact. So these two guys, they poked holes into Einstein's theory of relativity. And you think that the scientific community would be open to look at their work and try to figure out and understand if they were right and to readjust Einstein's theory? Oh no. All hell broke loose in the scientific community and labeled these two guys as basically nut jobs. They disavowed them and said they had no idea what they're talking about. All because they believed, modern science believes that the theory is actually factual and is a proven fact, and it's not. But if Einstein's theory of relativity, understand it, if Einstein's theory of relativity is even slightly wrong by one basic number, it throws into question a whole bunch of science that they currently believe is true. It rewrites science books. Do you understand that? I mean, we're talking. This is stuff that people just don't seem to want to take or grasp or understand when it comes to look. Scientists have political agendas, just like anybody else, and don't think that they don't. They do. Because modern day scientists really isn't about all 100% about the science. It's about proving their own theories and how they believe that the world should be. It's about trying to make their own scientific utopia, which, by the way, does not exist. But don't try to tell a scientist that, because then they get angry. You're listening to me, your lovable host, L. Rod, here on the Rod Eccles Show.
Your credit score is a joke, and you're too embarrassed to let anyone know your 3-digit score. Sucks to be you, but it doesn't have to. Delete all those unsightly derogatory items, collections, charge-offs, repossessions, judgments, tax liens, bankruptcies, and foreclosures. To turbo boost your credit scores, call 888-541-5571 or visit us at 700creditnow.com. You've heard the old adage, cash is king, but in some cases, credit can be just as powerful as cash. Not many people have $200,000 to put down on a house, or $50,000 to put down on a car, or $25,000 to put down in a business. But look around and you'll find that millions of Americans do have homes and cars all purchased with little to no money down. To turbo boost your credit scores, call 888-541-5571. Again, that's 888-541-5571. Or visit us at www.700creditnow.com.
When our water heater broke down last month, it was a nightmare. It took 5 hours for the plumber to show up, and he charged us a couple of $100 just to come out. And then it another 18.
The warranty right now for free information on home warranties starting at just pennies a day. Don't wait for your refrigerator to stop running or your ceiling fans to stop turning. Call American Residential Warranty right now. Ask how you can save up to 50% on washer and dryer coverage. Just call 1-800-616-8010. That's 1-800-616-8010. Again, 1-800-616-8010. Call now.
Did you ever look at the stains in your coffee cup and then realize that's exactly what happens to your teeth? Power Swabs is the 5-minute solution to get your teeth white without visiting the dentist. This is Ben Gordon with Power Swabs, and if your teeth are stained from coffee, tea, or smoking, all it takes is 5 minutes with Power Swabs. In 5 minutes, you'll see an average of 2 shades whiter teeth, and in 7 days, 6 shades. It's clinically proven to whiten natural teeth as well as caps and veneers. The secret is a tooth detergent that was developed by Dr. Martin Ginniger that lifts stains off of your teeth. Best of all, there's no messy strips or trays that you have to leave in your mouth for an hour. Just swab your teeth for 5 minutes and you're done. To try Power Swabs risk-free, call 1-800-291-5140. That's 1-800-291-5140. I guarantee your bright white smile will have your friends talking about how great you look. Try it risk-free today. 1-800-291-5140. That's 1-800-291-5140.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 800-595-2614 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 595-2614 to take your call now. Call 800-595-2614. That's 800-595-2614. Again, 800-595-2614.
When you're ready to take the edge off a hectic day, I suggest you start with a little music from Franz Black.
I guess there's lots of ways to look at things that don't seem right.
No Worries has just been released on iTunes and Amazon.
It's gonna be alright.
You can find Franz Black and his music on his website, friendsblack.com. F-R-A-N-Z black.com.
It's gonna be alright.
833-224 is the number to call should you wish to join me here on the Rod Eccles Show. I am your lovable host, El Rod, of course. And, well, you know, it is what it is as far as the scientific community is concerned. When it comes to trying to figure out and tell people exactly what it is that that contributes to this whole mysterious thing that we call life. This whole thing that we call life. Now, back to the story at hand. In the opening sentences of the study, it claims a link between muscles and hand movement is the product of proper design by the creator. Later, it says human hand coordination should indicate the mystery of the creator's invention, and concludes again by again claiming the mechanical architecture of the hand is the result of proper design by the creator. Now, from this same publication, The Independent, independent.co.uk, there is another story that was posted a mere 2 hours ago. And it kind of echoes what this other story, which was posted yesterday, talks about. Another scientific study was published. God, I would, if a basically say, look, see, is some sort of evolution process going on here, and that mankind came from chimps or apes, because look, chimps seem to believe in a god. So does man. Now, the ritual has similarities with the building of shrines or cairns. Now, for those of you in Rush Limbaugh's Realinda, C-A-I-R-N-S, cairns, basically is a shrine or a religious structure. A human ritual that has been happening for thousands of years and across civilizations. In other words, chimps seem to be building these religious types of structures, and just like humans do, and just like humans have for thousands of years. Now, new footage, they've got video footage. People that ceremonies, and you see these gyrating and falling out and passing out and all this kind of stuff, and people would say, well, see, there's a strange religious ritual right there. And you know, and throughout history, man has done all kinds of has had strange sorts of religious rituals. This is nothing new. And because of that, you know, we have people that want to, well, I guess they're trying to put man's rituals onto chimpanzee ritualistic behavior. I don't, you know, look, as I have told people, and I'm not ashamed to say this, I'm a bona fide Christian. I believe in God. I believe in Jesus Christ as my Lord and Savior. I look around and see that science is not something that disproves God, but in fact, science proves that there is an intelligence behind the creation of this entire universe. The more and more we learn about our world, our planet, our solar system, our universe, the more we realize that there is a definite order to everything. It is not random chaos. Every time we look into stuff and think that it's random chaos, and we look deeper into it, we realize, oh, no, wait, there's a reason for that. There's order in that. There are scientific laws and principles behind that. What may appear to us at first to be randomnistic and chaotic is really not. And so to me, I believe that science on a daily basis proves the existence of God. And many scientists just don't want to face that scientific reality. Because let's face it, folks, if there is an intelligence behind the creation of this universe, if there is an intelligence behind the creation of we human beings, then that means that there is not relativism out there on the planet or in the universe. That means there is no gray area. That means that there's right and wrong. Everything is black and white. And if that's the case, then a lot of our political we believe is dying. We're the ones killing it. Now, regardless of whether or not there's any scientific fact or proof in it, and there's not, because a lot of it has been proven to be faked, manufactured, or just plain proven wrong, just by sheer amounts of time that they from the predictions that they've made in the past that have not come to pass. But there's a political movement based on this science. And this political movement keeps funding more science to prove the political movement. So you cannot tell me that science and politics are not intertwined, because they always have been. Science, politics, and religion, all intertwined. In fact, remember, during the Inquisition, the science of the day was basically based around what the Catholic Church said. And if there was other science that proved something different, the Catholic Church at the time was putting a kibosh on that science. And the Catholic Church had in its grasp just about every single monarchy, politics on the planet. I mean, the one organization that scared a king or queen to death was not their enemy. It's not their enemy state. It was the Catholic Church. So we have always had this trifecta of winding and intertwining. And therefore, can you now understand why, if somebody comes out and says, scientifically proven, scientifically speaking, there is evidence for a creator, that even chimps may be worshiping God? Well, can you see how the scientific community, who does not want to believe in God, would be in an uproar? Because it would mean all this other crap that they're doing politically and socioeconomically is for moot, because there is a right and a wrong, a black and white. There is no gray area. So which means gray area means there is no room for communism or socialism. Do you understand that? Because if there is rules of the universe about the human condition, then that means this joint suffering, as it were, that is put forth in this notion of socialism and communism is false. Therefore, you cannot have God in the public square, you cannot have God in the political square, and you cannot have God in the scientific square. Because if you do, all of that other stuff is moot. It's wrong. And it tears down their fabric of their fabric notion of what utopia is all about. And they realize there is no man-made utopia. And they have no chance of achieving it. And that is something that a lot of scientists just cannot allow. Just saying, folks. If we go across the pond, see, here's a problem with overtaxation and wanting to tax people to death and wanting to. They don't. Sometimes our government will go after people, and they'll spend millions of dollars. Somebody might have created fraud, and maybe they created fraud that was worth $100,000 in fraud. they will spend millions of dollars to investigate and to prosecute the person who only defrauded the government out of $100,000. No, you know, the United States is not the only one who does this. In England, the UK, the people that in the UK that is the equivalent of the IRS here in the United States, they paid Facebook United Kingdom. They paid Facebook United Kingdom £27,000 last year for adverts on Facebook advising people how and when to pay their taxes. However, they paid Facebook more for those adverts than the social network pays itself in taxes. So in other words, the UK equivalent of the IRS, the HMRC, pays Facebook 6 times the amount the company pays in tax to buy advertisements telling people to pay their taxes. Now, while Facebook paid a mere £4,327 pounds in 2014, a Freedom of Information Act requested by Channel 4 News in England, in London, said the company was paid £27,000 by HMRC the following year. The money paid for adverts advising people how and when to pay their taxes. It's kind of like, well, the IRS doesn't advertise here for people to pay their taxes, but our government does advertise for people to do stuff for the government, like the WIC program and food stamp program. Yeah, I see advertised. Whenever I watch network television, which is not often, but whenever I seem to invariably see, or if I'm listening to the radio, there are radio ads too, advertising to people to utilize WIC, food stamps, and other welfare programs. Really? We have to. How much money are they spending on these ads to get people to use the money that almost everybody who's an American citizen already knows is available? I mean, even most immigrants, legal and illegal, know that there are programs and monies available from the government. And yet we have our government wasting all this money on advertising. So, in other words, if they're advertising this stuff, it must mean that people aren't utilizing it because they don't need to or want to. And so they have all this money left over. And instead of saving it and lowering taxes and lowering the budget, oh, no. They go out and spend millions of dollars on advertisements to get people to take the money. And then when some people take the money, they later find out that they really weren't eligible to take the money. Yeah, I know that there are some people who purposely try to defraud the government, but some people who get caught up in this mess aren't purposefully trying to defraud the government. They actually go to the government agencies, tell them the truth as they know it, and they end up finding out later, well, you weren't really eligible for that stuff, now you got to pay us back. So they're enticing people to come use their services and take the government money. And then they'll come back to them a few years later and say, well, you owe us $100,000 because you were never eligible for this stuff. Well, I gave you the truth and the facts, and you said I was. Well, yeah, we made a mistake, so now you got to pay. I mean, this is the way our government is now operating. Do you know that if the IRS does your taxes, you give them every piece of information that they ask for, and that the IRS themselves does your taxes, and it gets audited, and the taxes were wrong, you're responsible, not the IRS. The IRS plainly tells you that. Even if you have a question about taxes and you get the answer directly from the IRS and the answer is wrong, it's your fault and you're responsible, not the IRS. So you use the government services. You give them all the truthful information. They come back and tell you, well, yes, based on the information that you gave us, you get this, or this is what it should be. And then they come back years later and say, well, based on the information you gave us, even though we said that you should have it, we found out later that you shouldn't. Or we found out later that we were wrong, but it's your fault that we were wrong. And so you got to pay. So today in our society, in our government, if our government is wrong, it's your fault. Even if you follow everything by the letter, you've given them everything that they've asked for, you didn't even falsify, fake, lie about a single thing, you told the truth 150%. They can come back later and say, we made a mistake, but it's your fault that we made a mistake, and you have to pay. Do you realize that's how our government works? Does that sound like a government, of the people, by the people, for the people type of thing? No. That's not a people government. That's not a people-centric government. Do you folks realize, even you leftist millennials out there who believe in socialism, but I got a story here, by the way, that says that millennials, those under 30, the under 30 set, are not afraid of the term socialism. They're not afraid of socialism. Again, that's due to the educational process in this country that has glorified socialism as some sort of utopian set of government rules, regulations, and society. And we know that that's false because they always go to this notion, they always talk about all these wonderful socialistic utopias, which really don't exist. And those societies that they talk about as being socialistic utopias are currently in the process of making dramatic and radical changes because their socialism didn't work. But yet, those are those kind of type of systems that Bernie Sanders and people like him are touting. Yeah, Sweden is great. No, Sweden is not great. Sweden is, Finland is great. No, Finland is. I love when they point out Finland. Yeah, Finland, they get all this free. They don't have to work so hard, so long. They get just about everything except their groceries and stuff paid for. Everything is paid for. But what they don't tell you is that the Finns are some of the least traveled people on the planet. Why? Because they have no money. Why? Because their government takes as much as 90% of their income to pay for their Finnish utopia. They get everything for free just about. Sure, government paid for. But they can't afford to do anything else. Because they're taxed so damn much. So is it, you leftists, you guys like to be able to, they can't take vacations. Sure, they get some time off, they get, paid maternity leave and all that kind of stuff. Well, one, they instituted that because, like many of European nations, and Finland is no different, they're in danger of going negative on their birth rate. In other words, their birth rate is currently at a rate that it isn't replacing the number of people currently alive in the country. That's a negative birth rate. Which is kind of funny that Europe has this issue with negative birth rates. They can't seem to get people to have children in Europe. China, on the other hand, even when they had a one-child per couple policy, they couldn't seem to achieve a negative birth rate. They're still growing in population. It's amazing. I don't understand how that works either. But you've got Europe who has a negative birth rate, who's trying to entice people with all this free government stuff. And the problem is that maybe if government just simply let parents think that they can afford to have a child by cutting their taxes, there would be more kids being born. But people over there think, well, we can't afford to have a kid. Housing costs is too high, our taxes are too high, everything costs too much. Some of the most expensive real estate on the planet is not here in the United States. Yes, we have some cities that have some really expensive real estate. But you try going over and living in places like Paris or Berlin or Amsterdam, and the prices for real estate are out of sight. I'm watching this program on Netflix, Extreme Homes, that more than on a few programs do you go over to Europe, places like, in countries like Germany and Holland and other places where people are building housing on strips of land as narrow as 5 feet wide. Now, of course, they'd never be able to get, never be able to get away with something like that here in the United States because of building codes would not permit something that narrow or that small. But they are sandwiching these homes on pieces of property in between existing buildings and skyscrapers simply because that's what they can afford, because real estate prices in those countries are astronomical. I just saw a program last night that it was in Amsterdam, I do believe. It was literally a 5-foot wide open space between two buildings. The guy built a 1,000 square foot home, multi-level home or apartment basically. That was literally 5 feet wide. That's how wide it was. Another person did the same thing, I think, in Germany. The space between these two apartment towers was 14 feet wide. Basically, in the United States, it's about as wide as a single wide mobile home or trailer. Trailer trash. That's how wide the parcel was. He built a 5-story home that's 14 feet wide. I mean, that's insane. But how can you afford to have a kid when all you can afford for housing is a parcel of land that's 5 feet wide? That's why Europe has trouble with getting people to have more kids, because the people can't afford it. They can't. But wait, they're this utopic, socialistic society. Well, that's exactly why they can't afford to have any more kids. I mean, the least, look, we're headed in the same direction here in the United States. The United States has a birth rate problem. And you combine that with our abortion as birth control and aborting millions of babies. Well, that also contributes to the problem. But we have a problem because we have a lot of people in this country that do not believe that they can afford to have kids or more than one. And we often look at these people, especially in minority communities, and I'm going to say blacks, a lot of them, of these women, girls, that have multiple babies by multiple baby daddies. And yes, a lot of them end up on welfare programs and such like that, and I understand the anger of that. But at the same time, we have to understand that they're the only ones, believe it or not, they're the ones keeping American blacks from being completely and totally wiped out. Because of the abortion rate in some black neighborhoods is greater. The abortion rate alone is greater than births. But that it's not only in the black community. You've got many people in the white community that are only having 1 or 2 kids. And a lot of people are going without having kids. The American birth rate in this country is falling into negative territory. It seems like the only populations across this planet that are not going into negative territory are Indians from India, Asians from Asia, especially China. Japan is now experiencing a negative growth rate, by the way. So not all of Asia is on the upswing. But China and Southeast Asia is on the upswing. But those that have the greatest population growth, Arabs who are Muslim. We're killing ourselves, folks, by government taxation policy alone. Add all the other socialistic stuff on top, and you've got a real problem. But taxes are killing Western civilization.
Give a man a fish and you feed him for a day. Sign him up for the Box of Bait Club and he'll never be hungry again. The Box of Bait Club is a brand new dream come true for every fisherman. Something new and different in your tackle box every month. Every month, another excuse to get outside and do what you love. Don't let this one get away. The Box of Bait Club is currently accepting a limited number of pre-orders with subscriptions starting at $39.95 per month. Find out more now. Log on to boxofbaitclub.com.
I'm just so happy my father had a chance to see his kids before he passed. I just want to say thank you.
When her father fell ill, the American Red Cross was able to help get Veronica's brother home from the Navy to speak to his father one last time. It's thanks to your donations that we can connect military families when they need it most. Please donate today at redcross.org.
When our water heater broke down last month, it was a nightmare. It took 5 hours for the plumber to show up, and he charged us a couple of $100 just to come out. Then it cost another $1,800 to put in the new water heater. By the time it was all said and done, I felt like I'd been taken. But what else could I do?
The smartest thing you can do is get a home warranty from American Residential Warranty. Their home warranties pay to repair or replace all your major appliances when they break, and they will break, and at the worst possible time. Call American Residential Warranty right now for free information on home warranties starting at just pennies a day. Don't wait for your refrigerator to stop running or your ceiling fans to stop turning. Call American Residential Warranty right now. Ask how you can save up to 50% on washer and dryer coverage. Just call 1-800-616-8010. That's 1-800-616-8010. Again, 1-800-616-8010. Call now.
Attention business owners. We know that owning a business means getting things done right now. So if your right now list includes a new building, call the Right Now Company. General Steel. We can design a building for your business quickly and save you thousands of dollars. That's right, thousands. You may think General Steel only builds large projects or that you can't afford General Steel quality. Well, check these prices. How about a 40 by 60 foot building for under $22,000? Or even a 50 by 100 for under $35,000? That's right, a 5,000 square foot building for under $35,000. And these buildings all have General Steel quality. Best of all, you can still order a building and have it delivered in time to build this year. How's that for right now? So if your right now list includes a new building, call the Right Now Company, General Steel.
800-393-5756. 800-393-5756. 800-393-5756. That's 800-393-5756.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 800-595-2614 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 595-2614 to take your call now. Call 800-595-2614. That's 800-595-2614. Again, 800-595-2614.
Boy, man, I had a rough night's sleep. Boy, I got a letter from the IRS yesterday, and I just couldn't sleep. Man, I'm dying here. Somebody help me.
IRS problems affect more than just your finances. If you're ready to take back control of your life and you owe more than $10,000, you need to call the tax doctor. Their expert staff can immediately protect you from the IRS and state collectors and get you the best possible tax settlement guaranteed. The IRS has recently released new programs geared in helping struggling taxpayers, where you may qualify to settle your tax debt and wipe out up to 85% or more of what you currently owe. If you owe $10,000 or more in back taxes, call the tax doctor right now. See if you qualify to pay less. 800-989-1694. 800-989-1694. 800-989-1694. Again, 800-989-1694.
On the battlefield, there's a saying America's military men and women live by. Never leave a fallen warrior behind. Ever. Off the battlefield, Wounded Warrior Project operates with the same goal. We leave no warrior behind. Wounded Warrior Project is a non-profit organization created to help our men and women returning home with the scars of war. Whether those scars are physical or mental, we're here to make sure that they heal. And whether it's helping those with post-traumatic stress disorder live a normal life again, or giving much-needed support to injured warriors in veterans' hospitals. Because no one deserves our help more than the men and women who risk their lives to keep us safe. Wounded Warrior Project. We never leave a fallen warrior behind. Ever. Learn more about what we do at woundedwarriorproject.org.
Zinc Media. Feel the power of knowledge.
Number 3, the fastest 3 hours of Internet Talk Radio, right here on the Rod Eccles Show. I am, of course, your lovable host, El Rod, and I am coming to you live from my bunkerized home studio somewhere within the great granite state of New Hampshire on this March the 4th, 2016, which means it's Freedom Friday, where we get to talk about just about anything that we want to. Keep it clean, please, as we get to slide on into our weekend to celebrate our freedom, what's left of it. The call-in number is 603-835-3224. Please feel free. See there? See, I used how I threw the word free in there. See that? See how I did that? So feel free to call in, which is a toll-free number. See, I use that word free again. Isn't that wonderful? Word free. Free. The only time free is bad is when it comes to government, because then free gets real expensive. I always say when the government says something is free, we can't afford it because free is too expensive. But in any event, yeah, this actual call-in number, 603-835-3224, well, technically it's not free. And why do I say technically it's not free? There's always a catch. Well, you obviously have to pay for the phone service in order to have the phone, in order to call that number. So, you know, if you've got to pay Sprint or AT&T or Verizon or AT&T or whoever, you know, Vonage even, whatever, you got to pay for the phone. Even if you buy those, what is that phone that you buy, you spend for $30 in the store and you plug it into your computer, you know, whatever that, you still got to spend $30 on it. So that's not free. And of course, you know, I have to pay for the number that I have. So again, but you're not paying for it, but I am. So I guess technically, even a toll-free number isn't totally and completely free. There's always a catch, isn't there? Always a catch. But outside of that, there are, what we should say is it's additional toll-free to call 603-835-3224. Yeah, we probably have to say that every once in a while in order to avoid somebody suing. Well, it's not really free, Rod. You know, because look, they're trying to hit Donald Trump about his Trump University. I even had a guy out there trying to tell me Donald Trump's university was illegal. Really? It's illegal for him to hire people to teach people how to invest or do whatever they were teaching him whatever to do? And he's like, yes, that's illegal. Okay, I guess you just don't like Trump, period. No, Trump's a jerk, man. He didn't use the word jerk. He used another word, name I'm not going to use on the air. Like, okay, so basically, you just think Trump did something illegal just because you don't like Trump. Thank God you're not in the judiciary system. Well, we got other people that are in the system that are like him. But in any event, that is why we're here on this Friday, to try to stimulate your freeness. Even with all the additional addendums and attachments, that stuff that, that we call free really isn't free because somehow you're paying for it, but it's still free of any additional charges. So we're just going to go with that and say free and freedom. I know freedom is also not free, but we're just going to say you're going to enjoy what freedom you have left this weekend. So welcome to the show. Hope you understood that. With that, let's see if we can take a call here. Let's see if we can get them on board. And we have 207. You're live on the Rod Eccles Show. What you got?
Oh, hi, Rod. It's good to talk to you again. Last time we talked, wasn't it last week after the debate?
Yes, and now we have another debate. This is becoming a habit.
Well, that's right. I didn't mention to you that I did not catch last week's debate, nor did I catch last night's debate. I wasn't familiar at all with you prior to calling last week, and subsequent to that, I've listened to your show. They're online there at rodeccles.com, and I tell you, I was really delighted with hearing more of your show after coming on it, and just how much exactly that I found myself in line with what you say, and how much in common that I feel that we have in taking the approach and in talking about the issues. I was really
thank you.
So I just called in today just to talk more. It seems like I went to Portland yesterday, and I enjoyed myself at the Trump rally, but I was discouraged to see so many protesters, and the great majority of the protesters were the Bernie supporters, as he had came to Portland the day before on Wednesday. I was just kind of curious to myself as how many protesters showed up to the Bernie rally, and how many protesters showed up to the Trump rally yesterday. And I think there's something to be said about that. I had wrote a story, online publication last month, and I said the next story that I write it might be titled Pro-Trump, Anti-Trump, and really try to get down to the roots of what distinguishes those, by Americans. How is it that you have a presidential candidate, and one person can look at that candidate with full support and an open heart, and another person of the same community looks at that candidate with a closed heart
that is completely due to one's personal agenda. So now see, you have some people whose personal agenda is truly they want what's best for their community, their state, their nation. And you have those who have a more selfish personal agenda. It's all about them. What's in it for me? Type of mentality. And I got to what you see in a lot of what you see in a lot of Trump and Cruz, and for the generally for the most part, the basic Republican supporter is that they have a personal mentality of what's best for their family, their community, their nation. What you have on the left, especially on a Sanders supporter side, you have them looking at what's best for me mentality. What can you give me? Not what can I work for and contribute to my community, but what can the community give to me mentality. So when you
that's right.
When you have that kind of mentality, which is very prevalent on the left, Well, of course you're going to have people running around out there trying to protest to get their point across because they have no other way of doing it because nobody's going to pay attention to the me attitude when so many people are out there working their butts off to try to better their community, not just themselves, but their entire community. Because they also realize that as their community gets better, they automatically will benefit from that. Mm-hmm. But what the left do not realize is that if you take away from society, all that stuff that you think that you're getting for you is going to diminish. But they don't see that. It's all about them. So and therefore you got the people on the rights, even Democrats who don't believe in the me type of stuff. So I just call them the people on the right. So you got the people on the right who are too busy working, and they find themselves having to work harder and harder and harder on a daily basis just to support a growing number of those who are me. And at some point,
I agree.
Stop.
And I find that a lot in my state of Maine. I think Maine is one of the. There's such a high number of a lack of volunteerism in Maine. There's so many organizations here, state and private organizations that just spend a lot of time trying to reach out and find volunteers or active participants. The volunteers we have are the same ones. I was always considered myself an introvert. Always looked in, kind of private, but always worked hard and kind of kept my nose clean. And I moved to Maine 5 years ago, and I see the issues that Maine is dealing with, but I have a hard time finding people willing to, I own a small business. I mow yards in my spare time during the summers, and I have a number of customers that I snow shovel and snow plow for. And to get a helping hand with even something, like cutting some grass or raking, I find it very difficult. There's our group of kids, we hang out in front of our public library, and they're smoking cigarettes, and they just have no motivation. And I talked to one gentleman. He was 19 years old, and I asked him about. I told him that the McDonald's had a help wanted sign out, and if he wanted to, if I could go with them, explain the application process to him. They can interview you. I'll go up and help you do it all. And he says, well, he can't work. He's not eligible to work because he draws a Social Security benefit. And I asked him his age. He's 19. And he says, they won't require. I says, why are you drawing Social Security? He says, I'm autistic. Well, this was a surprise to me because he functions perfectly well. He's quite able and healthy and everything. I did some interviewing at the Portland rally yesterday, and I was just talking to some people in line. I took video and took video of some people saying the same thing because you're right, because people do work hard, and we pay our taxes, and we give back to our communities, and we provide for our families. And we look around and we see the lack of motivation from people. I don't get it. It's really weighing on our country, Maine, and our governor, I believe, is doing a pretty good job. I mean, it's not always making decisions on preference. We want everybody to have a help a hand up. But you got to make decisions. You got to make decisions on principle, and that's what our governor. I pointed
that out on this program about the state of Maine and Governor LePage and what he's done in Maine as far as the welfare roles in the state of Maine that are controlled by the state, not the federal government.
It's truly out of control.
Well, he's been able to push to drop the state welfare rolls by nearly 80% by just simply requiring that somebody either. And he's put limits on it, which I wouldn't have put these limits on it, but he did. If you were an adult that were not responsible for the care of a minor, so in other words, if you're a male, you should be out there working. If you're a female without any kids, or if you're a female with children that are in school, they don't need daycare, they don't need mommy at home while they're in school. Then he was basically saying you have to either go get a job. You have to go get some work education. They'll provide the work training or education, even certain kinds of schooling, so you can get a job once you get done with it, or perform just 6 hours a week of public service, just 6 hours a week of volunteerism, and you would get your welfare check. If you'd met all of those indications, you would still get your welfare check. And believe it or not, there were a lot of people who were on the public dole who chose not even to go the route of just working 6 hours.
Yep.
They were upset that they actually had to contribute and give back to the society that was allowing them to live high on the hog.
Mm-hmm. I haven't seen that data, but I could validate it for you. Being a resident of Maine, being a member of my community, I see it a lot. I do. We have a soup kitchen that is probably a model soup kitchen for any community in America. I mean, it's like a diner-style setting, and you have gourmet chefs that come in regularly and certified, trained. I mean, it's 5-course meal. I mean, it's the best free lunch you'll get. I can guarantee you that. But why is it that it's the same staff? I mean, they're outreaching like, come join us at the Belfast, Maine soup kitchen. Nobody's willing to put forth, that effort, and I'm not sure what it is. If people have gotten so dependent upon that. And I did have a friend. He just told me that they cut his food stamps from $127 a month. He was collecting down to $15 a month, and he says, "Well, I guess I can't sell you my $50 of my food stamps for $25 cash anymore." And I said, "Well, I guess not." And a lot of that goes on. They had, you might have seen a big story, Maine, a statewide story in Maine about a fellow who had gotten busted with several kinds of narcotics, including Suboxone, on prescription pills, and about 24 EBT cards in his possession that didn't belong to him. And you know what? They says, okay, well, we really got to convict this guy. He had the priors and everything. We really got to get him, so we're going to get him with trafficking and Schedule W drugs. We'll drop everything else and we'll nail him on that. They put him in jail for almost a year, and then comes to trial, he pleads guilty, and they had to let him off because they couldn't prosecute on Schedule W trafficking because Suboxone isn't and that's rampant around here. It's not scheduled as a Schedule W drug. So they let him off, forget about the fraud and the other drugs he had and the 20 debit cards and credit cards that he had that didn't belong to him. Guy gets off scot-free on 9 months pending trial.
When I was this happens all over the country, folks. This is just not in the state of Maine. I mean, we've had the famous case of I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but the surfer boy musician out there in California that gets welfare checks and food stamps, and all he does all day long is practice with his garage band and surf instead of out looking for a job. When I was 19 years old, in the state of New York, when I was 19, I had an award-winning landscaping company. I mean, I won an award for one of my landscapes, and I'm not even a landscape architect or designer, but I won an award for one of my landscape designs that I did for a particular person's home in the town of Cicero, New York. And that landscape today, the last time I went by it was last summer, before my father passed away. It looked exactly as I had planned it and put it in place back when I was 19. We're talking the 80s now. And, so I did this, and I don't understand why these kids do not have the same type of ambition. Not all of them are lazy. Some of them do have ambition. Some of them do get, but as a general rule, when you're talking about people under the age of 30, they'd rather sit at home and play video games or do, if they can't do exactly what they want to do.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Well, I grew up in a single mom with a brother and sister. My mom didn't remarry. We grew up poor. And come 18, you're barely getting through school. It was like going to service or had the opportunity of moving up to Kansas City, meet my dad for the first time, and maybe establish a relationship there. And I looked at both options, and I said, well, I'll go. I see my half brothers and sisters I don't know. I moved to Kansas City when I was 18. I lived there for 12 years. And, again, we can relate. I don't know if it's our background. We know we just have to. I mean, ain't nobody going to provide for you. You can't just sit back and let it happen. Nobody's going to knock on your door. I started, in the construction. I started remodeling houses with my dad. Just the two of us working together. And one thing leads to another. I started at $5 an hour. This is a 99. And $200 a week check, I thought I was really doing good. And that got to $7 an hour within 2 weeks. And then after a year, it was about 10. A couple years, it was 12. And then I'm like, well, hey, I painted a house and was like, hey, this ain't so bad. So I started my own painting company. And I painted hundreds of homes, inside and outside. And I know this work ethic that we share, Rod. I don't know. Is it because it's something fundamental? It's like, is it in your genes? It's like you got a decision to make. Are you going to work and make something for yourself? Are you a giver or a taker? Are you going to be a have or a have not? And people need to weigh these decisions in Maine and not walk around in stores and everything with their sweatpants and flip flops, and then get rejected at the counter, making the whole line wait because they insisted you can't buy cigarettes with the food stamp card. Well, that's okay. She went right to the ATM machine in the bank in the same parking lot. She walks over to the ATM machine, withdraws money from her EBT food stamp card, and goes right in and gets the cigarettes. And then, I mean, I have a guy that's buying. He told me he gets almost $200 a month in food stamps, the maximum limit for him and his wife. And they go to Hannaford Brothers supermarket. They buy nothing but seafood. They pop the tailgate out and triple it in Saturday afternoon. They do it monthly. And this is the systemic problem that the welfare state in Maine is facing. I haven't kept up with state politics, not since the fall. I mean, with the national election and everything, I just haven't been hip like the data you mentioned. It doesn't surprise me, but I do know that Maine is going to have a hard time in moving forward if we're not making decisions and passing laws based on principle rather than preference. And we do have a strength in the governor in that regard.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And this is not a problem that is only systemic to the state of Maine. This is prevalent and systemic all across the 50 states and Puerto Rico, where we have this type of fraud going on. And look, you can go to YouTube actually and see this stuff. One of the things that I figured out a while ago is that YouTube is probably one of the greatest news sources on the planet, because people just put up raw video. I mean, most of the time it's not even edited, so you get the full force. It's not being edited by some news crew that's trying to make a point of something. You get the full raw footage, and you're able to determine for yourself by viewing it with the available information to make your own determination. But there are people that have done this left and right. They have gone, and sometimes the ones that get the sensationalism is you get the former Marine, I guess, who went up to a person and he this person was putting all this expensive stuff that they bought with food stamps in the back of their truck and sitting in the back of their truck and trying to sell it to make some cash off of it. And this former Marine, I guess, actually just went up and took some of it and said, well, geez, this I'm paying for you to do this, so I'm going to take my cut now. But that's what makes the news is going viral. But what they don't talk about is people just showing how people are making tons of cash with this, or they're selling their EBT card, or they're going to the ATM card where the person who has the EBT card is complaining because the cashier wouldn't take the card to buy this type of thing, that they were indignant that they actually have to waste their time to come out to the machine to withdraw the cash to go back in and buy the same thing that they couldn't get with the EBT card. This is systemic all over, and I think this is where Trump is saying that enough is enough. We're going to put people back to work. No more 94 million people out of work. People need to go back to work to help make this country great again. Because right now, he's right. You know, you got Clinton out there saying, we're already great. No, you cannot be a great nation if you have, you know, a good 50% of your population dependent on government for their daily sustenance. That's not right. Greatness.
Greatness was in the 1940s, you know, up to the 50s, you know. For example, you know, right around in that time period when we talk about Make America Great, not that it's not great already. Of course, America is exceptional, far above and beyond. We set the precedent for democracy. We need to. What we mean as far as Make America Great Again is make those deals, like bringing those jobs back to Maine, not selling Maine maple syrup and blueberry jam and handmade soap and candles in the farmer's market. We're not going to make money that way. We got to get the jobs back. You know, we just lost a paper mill last year at Fort Maine, 1,200, you know, almost 1,000 people, wrecked the whole city. You know, this town is a great town with great history. As the world's largest bridge, observatory bridge, you know, in the country. And they come and just knock the whole, China just basically comes in and took that paper company, you know, away from those guys. And it happens like that all over the country. There's a lot of examples, and we need the manufacturing, the tariffs that Trump talks about, the different incentives to get these companies to get back into the, you know,
I think the page is on the right course. I'm sorry to cut you off, but I got to go to a break. It was great to talk to you again. Please call in again after the next debate because they got one more to go, I do believe.
Absolutely. I'll look forward to it, Rod.
Right.
It's really great talking with you.
Thanks for the call. By the way, Maine doesn't have the best maple syrup. New Hampshire does, but they have the best blueberry jam by far.
You're listening to me, your lovable host, L. Rod, here on the Rod Eccles Show.
Your credit score is a joke, and you're too embarrassed to let anyone know your 3-digit score. Sucks to be you, but it doesn't have to. Delete all those unsightly derogatory items, collections, charge-offs, repossessions, judgments, tax liens, bankruptcies, and foreclosures. To turbo boost your credit scores, call 888-541-5571 or visit us at 700creditnow.com. You've heard the old adage, cash is king. But in some cases, credit can be just as powerful as cash. Not many people have $200,000 to put down on a house, or $50,000 to put down on a car, or $25,000 to put down in a business. But look around and you'll find that millions of Americans do have homes and cars all purchased with little to no money down. To turbo boost your credit scores, call 888-541-5571. Again, that's 888-541-5571. Or visit us at www.700creditnow.com.
When our water heater broke down last month, it was a nightmare. It took 5 hours for the plumber to show up, and he charged us a couple of $100 just to come out. Then it cost another $1,800 to put in the new water heater. By the time it was all said and done, I felt like I'd been taken. But what else could I do?
The smartest thing you can do is get a home warranty from American Residential Warranty. Their home warranties pay to repair or replace all your major appliances when they break, and they will break, and at the worst possible time. Call American Residential Warranty right now for free information on home warranties starting at just pennies a day. Don't wait for your refrigerator to stop running or your ceiling fans to stop turning. Call American Residential Warranty right now. Ask how you can save up to 50% on washer and dryer coverage. Just call 1-800-616-8010. That's 1-800-616-8010. Again, 1-800-616-8010. Call now.
Did you ever look at the stains in your coffee cup and then realize that's exactly what happens to your teeth? Power Swabs is the 5-minute solution to get your teeth white without visiting the dentist. This is Ben Gordon with Power Swabs, and if your teeth are stained from coffee, tea, or smoking, whitening, all it takes is 5 minutes with Power Swabs. In 5 minutes, you'll see an average of 2 shades whiter teeth. And in 7 days, 6 shades. It's clinically proven to whiten natural teeth as well as caps and veneers. The secret is a tooth detergent that was developed by Dr. Martin Ginniger that lifts stains off of your teeth. Best of all, there's no messy strips or trays that you have to leave in your mouth for an hour. Just swab your teeth for 5 minutes and you're done. To try Power Swabs risk-free, call 1-800-291-5140. That's 1-800-291-5140. I guarantee your bright white smile will have your friends talking about how great you look. Try it risk-free today. 1-800-291-5140. That's 1-800-291-5140.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500. Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 800-595-2614 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 595-2614 to take your call now. Call 800-595-2614. That's 800-595-2614. Again, 800-595-2614.
When you're ready to take the edge off a hectic day, I suggest you start with a little music from Franz Black.
I guess there's lots of ways to look at things that don't seem right.
No Worries has just been released on iTunes and Amazon.
It's gonna be alright.
You can find Friends Black and his music on his website, friendsblack.com. F-R-A-N-Z black.com.
It's gonna be alright.
603-835-3224 is the number to call should you wish to join me here in this last segment of the Rod Eccles Show for not only this particular program, but for the entire week. It's the end of the week. Yes, it is. And we're heading to the weekend. And I don't know about you, but I'm going to be spending some time this weekend watching the latest drop of season 3 of House of Cards. I'm looking forward to it. Been waiting for a full year. Now, well, a little bit less than a year, but you know, I gotta try to savor it though, because usually the past few years I've been able to go ahead and go from House of Cards and go directly into Mad Men, and then go directly into Game of Thrones. Well, now I've got a gap. I've got House of Cards, but nothing to fill in between House of Cards and Game of Thrones, like I had with Mad Men. Maybe I'll just have to go back and start all over and watch season 1 of Mad Men, and then continue it that way. But look, there are not many programs that I just absolutely, completely adore. I know a lot of people, they say, oh, I love this show, and I love that show, and I love this show. I can't say that about many. I mean, I mean, there are some shows that catch my attention a little bit, and I'll watch them. You know, like the show Lucifer. I kind of like it. I want to see where it's going. At this point in time, I want to see where it's going, where they're going to take it. Am I going to be upset if I miss it? No. I'll just catch it another time and just catch up on it. The other one that I want to see where they go with it, although it's starting to lose me now, but I'm still trying to hang in there, is Second Chance. If you haven't seen that one, that's about a disgraced sheriff who was like 70 years old or something, who was murdered, but everybody thinks it was a suicide. And they bring him back to life. Is the basic premise. So he's getting a second chance to make things right that he made wrong when he was first alive, and now his son knows that it's him. He's his father in a younger body now, obviously. So he's trying to make things right. In other words, he's gotten a second chance at life, and he's trying to do things the right way, at least with his own family and with crime and stuff like that. But it's kind of starting to, it's becoming cliched now. It's starting to get cliched, and it's starting to, much like, the first season of Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I didn't watch a single episode of the second season. I had a hard time getting through the finale of the first season. Because it was just like, oh my goodness, are they really going cliche with this stuff? This is not the comic books here. And I did try watching like the first half. Ended up watching like the first 20 minutes of season 2's opener, and I did try to figure out what might have happened during the to fill out the finale from and it lost me. And I haven't watched an episode since. I know it's still a top-rated show, but it hasn't got me. I wanted it to. I wanted it to work. I want this whole Marvel Universe thing to actually work, and I want it all to come together. But I've missed certain parts of it now that I don't feel like I'm missing. I did not watch the latest version of the Captain America movie because the second one I was so disappointed in. It's kind of like Star Trek. Now, the new Star, I have yet to see the latest Star Trek movie because the first one they lost me. You blow up Vulcan and now no, sorry, it lost me. Just a totally. I realized that they had to kind of change things, totally alter things and blow things up simply because they had to move away from the rest of the universe that takes place after that, which was, Star Trek Next Generation. Remember, we had an episode of Star Trek Next Generation where Picard was bouncing, Q had him bouncing through time in order to fix a problem that he claims that Picard started. So he had to go back and try to fix it. And by fixing it, he completely, Start the Next Generation just basically said, well, you changed everything. So your future is no longer written. And you've changed the past. So I guess they were taking that into consideration when they came up with the new Star Trek reboot movies, that they had to change the past, which would then free them from the future that they had already developed. I get that part, but the way they did it totally lost me. Didn't like it at all. But by the way, speaking of Star Trek, Star Wars, there's something out there that's today, and this is coming from thetelegraph.co.uk. But it appears that science, well, this. We've labeled stuff Star Wars Project before. Remember that? The Reagan era Star Wars Project? Well, according to the Telegraph, scientists developed a mini Death Star to protect us from asteroids, from planet killers. American researchers believe a laser beam could be used to deflect space rocks on a collision course with the planet Earth. And I kid you not. But the concept is, it sounds like it's out of Star Wars or Star Trek, but the Death Star has a super laser that's used to destroy giant spaceships and other planets, worlds. But this Death Star that they're talking about is not designed to destroy worlds, but to protect our own from approaching asteroids. Now, understand that this technology would obviously be then militarized and used for nefarious means in controlling this planet. And who knows, maybe they may get it strong enough to be able to destroy planetary bodies. Who knows? But the concept was developed by American researchers who believe they have found a way to use a high-powered laser beam to deflect space rocks that are on a collision course with Earth. Now, the idea has been around for years, but the team at the University of California say laboratory tests show that their D-Star, DE-Star, not Death Star, but D-Star, which stands for Direct Energy System for targeting of asteroids and explorotation. That's how they get D-Star. Could actually work. They envision putting an unmanned D-Star craft in orbit. At the first sign of an impending disaster, it would target the asteroid with a high-energy laser, causing part of the rock to vaporize in a process known as sublimation, thus changing the direction of the planet killer enough to miss the Earth. So I guess the whole vision from the movie Armageddon, where we actually land on an asteroid and use nuclear weapons to blow it apart, is not on scientists' future agenda to try to do. Instead, they envision. There was a movie. Which movie was it? I think it was back in the 90s. Maybe it was the late 80s. I can't, but I remember specifically because the U.S. Well, I think it was the 80s. The USSR and the United States both broke, treaties, but they knew that each other had it. But they had these space stations, if you will, with ICBMs located on them, and the U.S. knew that the USSR had them, and the USSR knew that the U.S. had them. But they both pretended like neither one of them had them. So then comes a threat from this giant planet killer asteroid, and the United States had to get the USSR to work with them to shoot all of their nuclear missiles that are in space at this asteroid, because they needed so many of them to actually hit and work for this thing to be destroyed or deflected. And part of the movie was that the USSR didn't believe that the U.S. was going to fire theirs, but instead would fire them at the USSR, which was really stupid. But that's how the Cold War went back then. So they finally convinced them to shoot off all their missiles. The U.S. shot off all their missiles. And they had to get so many of the missiles to actually hit. Now, of course, being dramatical, some of the missiles, they misfire, they died in flight, and they fell off. And but they had to have a minimum number of these warheads hit this asteroid, and it got down to the point where they had just enough. I think it was like three of them died. 3 of the missiles died off, and they, for whatever reason, they fell off of course. And so now basically you got these 3 ICBMs roaming around in space up there that are armed. But they had, dramatically speaking, they had just the right amount that they needed to at the last moment hit this asteroid and deflect it. And of course, same thing with the movie Armageddon, where they had to blow up the asteroid with the nuclear device, and Bruce Willis had to stay there, and because the device was damaged or what have you, and they couldn't remotely detonate it, so he had to stay there and give up his life in a dramatic fashion in order to save the planet and save his daughter and everything back on planet Earth. But that is what it was all. This takes the place of nuclear weapons, I guess. It's going to be lasers, high energy light beams focused on these things, and they say it could work. Yeah, it could work. Point is when will we be able to get it to actually work as they say it will? I don't know. Maybe it already does. They just don't want to tell us. That could be possible too. Remember, what was it? Weird Science. Remember that from the 80s? They took a Death Star type of satellite and focused this energy on a house that they filled with popcorn. You remember that one? Yeah, that was kind of funny. But anyway, speaking of universities, staying on universities, Pitt students, University of at Pitt, are in tears and feeling unsafe after Milo Yiannopoulos had an event there, and that's Milo is M-I-L-O, but Yiannopoulos, I think I'm pronouncing it correctly, Yiannopoulos. Anyway, the University of Pittsburgh's Student Government Board held a public meeting earlier this week on Tuesday to discuss the traumatizing visit the night before on Monday night from from a quote-unquote dangerous homosexual and Breitbart techie editor Milo Yiannopoulos, during which students described themselves as feeling hurt and unsafe from this conservative gay man's talk. They felt hurt and unsafe. Now, during his talk, Yiannopoulos called students who believe in a gender wage gap idiots. Well, people are idiots. When you're looking at... Well, we're not going to get into that part. He declared Black Lives Matter movement a supremacy group, which they are. And he said while feminists are man-haters, which they are, prompting... And this is all according to the student paper, the Pitt News, and prompting a handful of 20-something-year-olds to feel upset. They feel upset. Now, this is what they said. Board member Jack Heidecker, Heideckerer, said at the meeting on Tuesday, just because we have to be neutral with our funding doesn't mean we're personally neutral. I hurt yesterday, too. What? Hey, Jack, how about you grow a pair? He went on to say, so many of us shared in our pain. I felt I was in danger. And I felt so many people in that room were in danger. What kind of danger could they have possibly have been in from Milo Yiannopoulos? His words endangered them? Him getting them to try to think endangers them? Now, this was proclaimed by Marcus Robinson, a student at U of Pitt and president of the Pittsburgh Rainbow Alliance. Robinson also suggested that counselors should have been provided in another room to protect students who felt traumatized by Yiannopoulos' opinions. These kids now feel traumatized by somebody else's opinion that they disagree with? Folks, this is at the University of Pittsburgh. You're sending your kids here. They felt pain, and they felt that they were in what physical did you feel like you were in physical danger from a conservative gay man? Now this is more than hurt feelings. This is about real violence. We know that the violence against marginalized groups happens every day in this country, claims social worker and urban studies major Claire Matway. That so many people walked out of that event feeling in literal physical danger is not... Wait a minute. You guys felt in literal physical danger from this guy's speech saying that you're idiots if you believe in the wage gap, and he believes that Black Lives Matter is a supremacy group, and that feminists are man-haters. You felt in physical danger because of that talk. Well, then hello, Sister Mary. I guess the rest of us on the right then could actually claim that we feel physical danger whenever a liberal like Hillary Clinton speaks. Can we not say that now? Honestly, I'm not being facetious on this. If they are actually claiming that they felt so threatened by this man's words, because simply because they don't agree with his words, they felt so threatened, then I got to tell you, I'm feeling very threatened by Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders. I'm feeling completely and totally unsafe. Where's my counselor? Where's my support group? The reason why there is no support group because this is total and utter and complete nonsense. This is ridiculous. And notice I didn't say redonkulous. I said ridiculous, because this is serious stuff. These kids are actually demanding, they're beginning to demand on college campuses, one, that they have a safe space, two, that they have counselors in case they hear something that they don't agree with, that hurts their feelings personally, and three, they want to shut you up because they don't want to hear it. I mean, literally, we've seen if you haven't seen the video, you should probably go to YouTube and watch the video. We have seen video of a Bernie Sanders millennial who literally cries on camera because some of the calls that she made to try to get support for Bernie Sanders, she ended up calling supporters of Donald Trump. And they gave her what for on the phone. And she just felt physically ill to her stomach by listening to these people. And it upset her so much from having these conversations with these Donald Trump supporters that it brought her to tears, literally. Are you kidding me? And she's questioning how these people can possibly be so mean and cruel. After all, Bernie Sanders only wants to help you. And she's, I just don't understand it. I don't know why they were so mean, why they were saying those nasty things about Bernie Sanders. I mean, I just can't believe it. They hurt me. I mean, I felt so strange and I felt so hurt. And this is what they're talking about, about Milo now. They wanted to go into a room next door after the talking because they felt so. I'm sure they probably wanted somebody with a gun to sit there and protect them now because they felt physically threatened. And they probably wanted to walk in the room and go, I can't believe Milo, man. He just said all that stuff about, I don't feel so safe. Somebody's going to hurt me. I know it. I know somebody's going to hurt me. I mean, this is insanity. Whatever happened to sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. I know that the tongue can be sharper than a two-edged sword. The Bible tells us that. You know, and other historians and mindful people of history tell us to watch our words because words can cut like a knife. They can be harmful, yes. And words can lead people to do physical violence, yes. We know. I mean, just look at, we always go back to Hitler. Look at Hitler. Hitler's words inspired an entire nation of people to go to war. I get that fact. But the very notion that somebody would say that if you believe in the gender wage gap, and if you look at the evidence and you still believe in the gender wage gap, you're an idiot. If you look at the evidence, you will see that feminists tend to come off as man-haters. And many of them are lesbians, by the way. And they're the man-hating lesbian. Look, I've personally experienced man-hating lesbianism. Should I not feel threatened by that? I guess I shouldn't. And Black Lives Matter, they are in a way a supremacist. You are not allowed to say that all lives matter or blue lives matter or, somebody else's lives matter because only black lives matter. That's a supremacist type of ideology. Plain and simple. No matter how you the fact is that is a supremacist style of ideology, that only a certain kind of life matters. But hey, you can't say the truth though, because the truth evidently hurts people. It unbelievable. Now this is what we have going on college campuses all over the country now. Is these millennials? First, they don't want to be challenged on anything. If they disagree even with their professor because they know more than their professor, then they're gonna bounce the professor out of the classroom. They're going to shut you up. They're going to prevent you from going to a safe space because you don't fit their physiological mold. What about all those people who don't get to go in there? Don't they feel a little unsafe? I would. But I guess, those of us who don't think like them, we're not allowed to feel unsafe. Only they are. Well, folks, that background sound means that we're out of time for today, but not only for today, but for the entire week. So right now I'm going to go and finish my work for the day and prepare to enjoy House of Cards. I hope you have a wonderful weekend, and we'll be back here on Monday, bright and early, same bat time, same bat channel. Until then, I'm Rod Eccles. This has been The Rod Eccles Show. Thanks for listening and for calling in. I'm out. Well, we are back here, folks. I have another one of those double computer. I have no idea what this is about, because I tell you that we're going to go into take your calls, and all of a sudden the computers die out. Now I'm trying to wait for the second computer to reboot here so I can continue. This is unprecedented. 2 days in a row. Both here we go. Back up. All right. So, there we go. I think we're back up and running. I don't know what the deal is, but anyway, 603-835-3224. If you have been calling and you were unable to get through before, I just really needed to make sure that I got what I had on my chest off my chest and out there. So you can give a call now. 603-835-3224 is the number. And let me know what you think about what has been going on or what I've been talking about here, and we'll get you on the air. And we'll take it from there. But anyway, as we continue, roll on. We have wonderful people. See, they're trying to throw me off my game. I would love to say that if it was only one computer, that it was just the computer. But when it's two of three computers doing it at the same time for 2 days in a row, unless somebody has, maybe somebody did infect both computers and I can't find the infection, and neither can my anti-infection software. And somebody can just, if they don't like what I say, they can push the button and throw me off the air for now. But they can't keep me off. And I tell you what, when we're done with the show today, if there is such a virus on one or both of these computers, after the show today, I will find it. Now, I don't have the computer savvy to trace it back to whoever put it on there, but I will find it and I will destroy it. Because I'm getting tired of this stuff. This is just absolutely donkey. I wish I had the money and the wherewithal, because I would make a bulletproof. You cannot tell me that we cannot make bulletproof computers. You cannot tell me that we cannot make bulletproof software. This is just like inside the Beltway stuff. This is all about self-perpetuating and self-serving of the computer industry. I'm sorry, but it is. I mean, it seems like every freaking day I'm getting an update for something, and it's not an update to make the software better or faster. It's an update to supposedly secure the holes in it, and breaches and bugs and stuff. That's a bunch of BS. Because then they patch it so many times, and then they decide, well, you know what, we're going to bring out something new, and they charge you hundreds of dollars for the something new. Well, I tell you what, I'm not going to buy any more of your garbage unless you can start telling me and proving to me that your stuff is nearly bulletproof. Because right now it's nowhere near that. It's like Swiss cheese. And it's beyond annoying. Because they always say, well, just, we've updated, you can get something new. Something new? I don't have an old device. I remember my Samsung Galaxy started screwing up after I had it for 6 months. I'm supposed to get something new after 6 months? No, that's why I don't rush out and buy all this new stuff. Because you go out and buy something new, and it acts and lasts new for about a month, and then it starts screwing up, and what do they tell you? They try for 3 months or so to try to fix it, and they tell you, well, just go out and buy something new. Now, this is new. So I'm just going to buy something new to have the problems repeat itself over and over again. Well, maybe it's time that we the people stop falling for this stuff, not only in our personal lives, but in business and in politics.